Defense League, and he used to, quote, front new anti-Islam movement. Now, he founded the group, and we have his bio right here. And when it started becoming racist, getting taken over, he got out of it. So he has the white supremacists after him, and he has the radical Islamicists after him. He's the founder and ex-leader of the English Defense League, formed in 2009. Since leaving the EDL, he has become an avid speaker on the problems of the Western world and the rise of extremism, Islam, ISIS, hate speech, and Sharia. And, of course, people that try to even talk like this from the U.S. and fly there like Michael Savage get barred from the country, or from the UK. And he joins us. He's founded a new organization, Patriotic Europeans Towards Islamification of the West.
Basically harassed, discriminated against racially, and chased out of there, again proving that these Muslim no-go areas
followed by cars, thrown out of restaurants, thrown out of convenience stores, could not get service at open businesses. They said, not for you, and began screaming, get out.
Exactly, but of course Tommy Robinson has been facing this and speaking out against it for a lot longer than I have, so if you could introduce him, that would be good to get.
Absolutely. Mr. Robinson, I mean, I don't know where to start with the saga that you've been through. For folks that don't know, spend the next 5 minutes or so for our U.S. audience and others, exactly what you've been through.
So I started in 2000, and in 2004 I held a first demonstration. I had 1,400 children raped, 1,400 girls raped, passed around by gangs and gangs of Muslim men, and who were allowed to do so by the police, by the council, by the government. And that there should be a warning to the world about how powerful political correctness is. That's how powerful it is. They will stand by and watch young girls be raped.
And for those that don't know, in these more radical Muslim cultures, like out of Saudi Arabia and other areas, women are property, enslaved. Men are allowed to rape the women, and if the women speak out, they get executed for being raped. So that's why you see all these imams saying, we're coming, we're going to get your women, we're going to jihad them. This is a open tenet by, head imams in Jerusalem, Australia. It's really crazy. They actually say on tape, we're coming to get your women. You can't stop us. And now in Europe it's happening, and the police are being ordered to cover it up. Some German towns of 100 have had 700 Islamicists brought in. It's going to be much worse than England. What do you expect that to be like?
I've been to Germany. I've recently travelled around Europe. I met with Pegida. Pegida is the organisation that formed 12 months ago in Dresden. When I went to speak at their rally, there was 40,000 concerned Germans there. In some city that you talk about, in one town with a population of 13,000, they put 8,000 Muslim men, so-called refugees. In another town with a population of 3,000, they put 2,500. Overnight, their towns have been taken over. Their women are having to stay in the house. We've seen rapes from so-called refugees, from 5 Syrians in England. We've seen it in Denmark. Children have been raped. We've seen it in Sweden. We've seen it in Germany multiple times. Have these so-called refugees been raping the host nation's women? Now, we need to realise a street-level jihad, a rape jihad, has been going on. In Britain, 90% of the street-level grooming gang convictions are Muslim men. 90%. Well, only 4% of our country is Muslim. And that's not all men, but only 4% is Muslim. So say 2% are Muslim men. They're responsible for 90% of the convictions for grooming gangs. 20% of those men are called Mohammed. We have a serious problem. And simply what we face for simply speaking out, I think when people listen to the full story of what we've gone through and what the state and the government and the police have done, not just to myself, but to other members and other people who have tried to voice their concerns, people will be shocked to realise that we all think we live in a democracy with freedom of speech. We think we have these God-given rights. We don't. You try and exercise them, you will realise you don't. And what America needs to understand, and they need to get ready for, is everything that's happening here, everything that's happened here is coming to America. Our politicians, our political leaders, our governments have sold their soul to the devil. And we're left to pick up the pieces, living on the streets. And that's the reality of it. Let's face it, Boris Johnson doesn't live where we live. His children don't go to school as a minority in the towns that our children will. What's okay for him, we have to live with it. That's the reality of it. So whilst he can sit there and say how nice and cosy it is, he's not the one on the end of genuine hostility just simply for being a white Englishman or a non-Muslim. That's the reality of it. In my hometown, I just speak again. I don't speak about what I've read, what I've studied, which so many of these people on the left do. We've gone to university, we've got a degree, and we've read this. Well, you haven't lived it, mate. I mean, you can't read a book on building a house and then build it. I said, you have no experience at all in what we're talking about. You find in complete working class communities like where we're from, there's no left. There's no left-wing group like this. We all understand the problem. All of these people are living off their dad's money, many of the times, their mum and dad's money, and in trust funds, and they're siding. And it's like Winston Churchill said, the fascists of the future will come under the banner of anti-fascists. And he was so right. He was so right in many things he said. He also said many great statements about Islam and about Muslims, and all of them have come into fruition.
We should go over some of those quotes a little bit later.
I think the biggest shock to me, look, when I started this, due to my experience in 2004, when this started in 2009, I knew full well I'd face death threats. I knew I'd get violently attacked. I knew Muslims would want to kill me. I knew full well that. What I was not prepared for at all was the state. The state shutdown, the pressure, the harassment, the persecution. When it didn't work on me, they turned to my family. I'll just briefly explain. We'd started these protests in 2009. And obviously we were talking about sexual grooming, the rape of our young girls. Now, there was one police force in particular, there's been a deep-held report in Rotherham, which is South Yorkshire Police Force. Now, they've been suppressing this for 20 years. Now, I've gone to Luton Airport. I'm arrested at Luton Airport. I was due to fly to Scotland to meet up with the Scottish Defence League. This is all just in the first 6 to 9 months of starting the organisation. I've gone to Luton Airport. I've been arrested by Special Branch. They've took me to the police station. They've done simultaneous raids. They've raided my mum's house, where my mum and dad live, and they've raided my house with my wife and children in. When they've gone to my house, they've sent armed police. They've shut the whole road off. They've spent 6 to 8 hours in each house. They took my mum and dad's computers. They took all the phones, all the electrical devices. When I got into interview, they said I was arrested, and it was South Yorkshire Police. I was due to be talking at a demonstration there, and obviously I was going to be highlighting their failures in sexual grooming. So their tactic was to come down, kick my doors off prior to the demonstration, impose bail conditions. I was arrested on a criminal damage. What they actually said in interview was that on a hotel room door, you've got the connecting bit, which was broken, and I was staying in the hotel. Now, that cost £30. They had at least 20 police officers who ransacked both our houses. I was then given bail conditions for this criminal damage, not to associate or contact with 3 or more English Defence League supporters. The bail date I was given was to coincide with the date of our demonstration. After 3 weeks, all charges were dropped. I put in a complaint through the IPCC, which is the Independent Police Complaints Commission, and it turns out that they actually had a statement from the manager of the hotel who said I had nothing to do with the criminal damage. So they had completely fabricated this to get warrants to come and basically intimidate me into silence and persecute my family. Now, they dropped all charges. Now, 3 months after this, and I've got that in black and white.
Now, we know this is politically directed. We know this has all been all over the UK news. Everything you're saying, if you're a new listener, is on record. But did any of the police at the low level ever quietly apologize to you? Because I know that this is from higher up.
So many times. Do you know what? Do you know when they come in my house? Like, after that, they come back 3 months later. Now, the knock-on effect on my wife, who's living in our house, and the neighbours and everything like that, the pressure it brought, it was a plan, what they were doing. And that was to intimidate me. When that failed, they come back 3 months later, and they come through the door again. They arrested me, and they arrested my wife, who was 6 months pregnant. And as they arrested my wife, it was a Luton police officer, and he said, I'm so sorry. Yeah? I said, what? He goes, we're taking your wife. I said, what do you mean you're taking my wife? She's 6 months pregnant. What are you taking my wife for? And they arrested her on tax evasion. They held her on bail for over 3 years, having to repeatedly go back. And in the end, 3 years later, they used her security and stability and safety of her and my family to blackmail me into pleading guilty to an offence. And some people, I don't really think, as I said, it won't do it justice explaining it now, but I can go through some of the situations. Yeah,
you don't know until they've got your pregnant wife in jail and say, sign this or we're not letting her out. You don't know the pressure that puts. Pure evil. Well,
I still can't believe that they've done it so blatantly. I can't believe that, as what you spoke about earlier, I was on a charity walk, and I was doing a charity walk, and the Muslim leaders had said that basically we weren't allowed to enter into the borough of Tower Hamlets, which is the biggest borough of London. We weren't allowed to walk through there on our charity walk. The police arrested us, and what they did is, if anyone can watch this, put in Tommy Robinson charity walk on YouTube, you'll see, which is definitely 2 undercover police officers, they come in and they attack us. And then the police let them walk off. Here's the police. The police are at my house. 1 second. I'll just walk you out there. That's took an hour. That's took 45 minutes. I'd be dead, wouldn't I?
That's right. You hit that on accident right before the interview started.
My head would be off. My head would be off.
Well, shouldn't you culturally let them chop your head off just to get rid of your white guilt? I mean, wouldn't that be the right thing to do?
Maybe then I wouldn't be a racist then, would I?
Absolutely. A dead Tommy would be a good Tommy, according to some people. So, I mean, I agree. We don't want you dead. So expanding on this, you say the pendulum has swung. I want to get into that. I want Paul to ask some questions as well. But continuing with all the persecution, you were getting into how they allowed folks to attack you on the charity walk, and we'll show some of that on screen right now.
Yeah, if you actually show... So basically, we're doing a charity walk for a young, dying girl. Now, Tower Hamlets is one of the boroughs which is a no-go zone, yeah? So the Muslim leaders have come out and said that we're not allowed to enter that borough. And we're on a charity walk. We're going across London, which takes us through Tower Hamlets. The police come to see me the night before and said, you're not allowed to walk in, or we don't want you to walk into Tower Hamlets. And I said, they wanted me to take a 16-mile detour. Or something like that. I've only got little legs. So I was like, look, it's my capital city. And I said, why can't I walk through Tower Hamlets? And they said, well, because there's mosques. I said, I live in Luton. There's 30 mosques. What are you talking about? I said, like, there's mosques all over this country, everywhere. We've got over 2,500 mosques. So when we've turned up to do the charity walk, as we're walking through, they've allowed 2 people to come into us and turn around and physically assault us. Now, once we've been physically assaulted, we don't react. We put our hands up because we know what's happening anyway. We put our hands up and they allow these police officers who attacked us to walk off. And they walk off and then we're arrested. And the police officer arrests me. And I said, what are you arresting me for? I haven't done anything. We've just been assaulted. She arrested us for preventing a police officer in a line of duty. They didn't just arrest us. What they did then was I was given bail conditions. I was charged. I was given bail conditions not to enter the borough of Tower Hamlets, which was enforcing exactly what the Imam had told them to enforce. And this just hasn't, this has gone on and on and on. There's so many circumstances.
So they put false charges on you on video under the orders of the Imam.
False charges which were subsequently 4 months later, once I went through court 3 times, they were kicked out. But that's not just, they've done so, like, I thought everything they've done in the persecution was, when I finally left the English Defence League in 2013, I thought I'd given them what they wanted. They'd persecuted my family. They'd gone, I looked in their investigation, then they'd gone and withdrawn warrants on my mum and dad's bank accounts. They'd arrested my brother-in-law, my cousin. They'd gone raided my nans. They'd gone basically through every member of my family. They'd gone through every tax, which is it the IRS in America? They'd gone through every single thing where they
okay, total harassment, and then still you're not allowed to even go out in public. They arrested you this year.
They arrested me this year. So I subsequently, after 4 years of being on conditions, I went on trial for what they said was tax evasion. They said I owed them 130. Sorry. You still there?
Yes, we got your video back. Go ahead.
Yeah, they said I owed them £137,000 in tax. They'd completely fabricated it. And they held me on this charge for 4 years. They froze my assets, my businesses. When the English Defence League started, I had a successful plumbing business employing 6 men. I had a sunbed solarium shop in the town centre. I was flying high. I had 7 properties. I was working hard. They closed it all down. They held me under conditions which I believe the Labour government brought in probably for terrorists. They froze all my assets with no crime, and they held me for 3 years. And subsequently, I got knocked.
And now we know that Obama ordered them this week or last week to cover up that these people were Muslim or had been trained in jihad camps, and that they let her in with a fake visa information. They ordered the FBI to say it wasn't terrorism. They've banned hundreds of people entering the UK from the U.S. who mildly criticize Islam. There is absolute submission and worship. I'm going to skip this network break. It's so important. Absolute worship by the UK government and by the Obama government of radical Muslims. Why do they worship them so much? Why are they above the law?
It's the influence they have. You know, like, say, for example, again, I'll bring you back to my hometown. My hometown has 40 to 50,000 Muslims. The Labour Party get 40,000 votes. That keeps them in power. They do a deal with the central, and that's only when they're 4%. They're that powerful as a block vote. It's vote bank politics. They're that powerful that they do a deal with the local council of mosques who are all coordinated together through one leader. They've got the Labour vote. And quite frankly, we're irrelevant. We're irrelevant in the scheme of things.
So that's it. People in old liberal republics are just out having fun, working hard, don't really organize, watching football games. And folks from third world dictatorships, they organize, they're under control of just a few leaders. They all donate large parts of what they make to them.
Money.
And it's on. It's a takeover.
It's a takeover, and no one can say it's nothing different. And what the worrying thing is, look, 4% of the country is Muslim. We really need to be thinking about what it's going to be like when it's 20%. And the biggest fear, what I had, even when I went into prison, they finally got me into a prison on a mortgage fraud case, which was not my mortgage again. I had to plead guilty to someone else's case. I had to, unless I wanted.
Believe me, I know. You can put one number wrong on a mortgage deal, and they throw you in prison for it. You can bounce a check, they throw you in prison for it. We understand. We followed your case. I mean, we see the videos. You've done nothing. They arrest you. This year, you went to a Draw Muhammad contest and got arrested.
No, so I was due to be talking I had a meeting arranged at the House of Lords, yeah, and it was for the 23rd of July. Now, 7 days before that, the police came with no justification, no reason. They took me straight into Peterborough Prison. Peterborough Prison is a prison where every prison in this country, they're like ISIS training camps. They're full of radical Muslims. I explained to them straight away what was going to happen to me. So I'm going to get killed. These are all new teeth. I've had blood clots. I've had a blood clot removed on my head. When I was in prison the last time, they actually locked me in a room with them. I was locked in a room and left to get killed. I said I was lucky to come out of there. And that's happened time and time again. I'm under no illusion. Well, describe
what they did to you. I mean, did you give as good as you got?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course. You have to. And even this last time, when I got called in for that last 8 days, I then got further arrested. So when I've gone in, I've said to them, I'm going to get killed in here. You know I'm going to get killed. I've walked out on the wing the first day, and I've had a lad come up to me, and he's put his hand over his face, and he goes, you're going to get done with boiling water and sugar. Now, that's where they put boiling water, they put sugar in, they throw it in your face. It will take your whole face off. So I've looked.
Well, they like to do that to women. That's another thing the feminists seem to get off on, yeah. They love that part.
I've looked across. I've seen I said, who's going to do it? They've pointed out. The lad said the Somalian, the lad behind the doors, paying him. But remember, I'm in for 8 days. These Muslim lads are in for 26 years for just killing 2 people. They have nothing to lose, and they will kill me. So I've done the only thing I could do, which was preemptive strike. And then I've been put down segregation. But my licence conditions finished on the 22nd of July. So under no circumstances, I should have walked out of that prison on the 22nd of July. I had an event planned on the 23rd of July. 22nd of July come, I'm still in prison. 23rd of July come, I'm still in prison. They released me on the 24th of July once they'd known the date had gone. They purposely held me illegally. And the things that have gone on.
I got to say, your police are particularly cowardly and evil. That we have a lot of bad feds here in this country, but most local departments would not engage in such evil against innocent people. And I saw them beating you up and arresting you for no reason in London. They looked like they were enjoying it. I didn't know they could pile crap that high.
Yeah, again, I do have to say that every individual officer I've met, even when they've arrested me, are apologetic and seem very sympathetic to what we're saying.
Well, what about the ones that assaulted you?
Yeah, that day, again, they're under orders. I know they're under orders. So
if somebody tells me to assault peaceful people, I'm not doing it if I was a cop.
I know, yeah. I'm not either, but that's because I'm not a coward. But at the same time, I wonder how many times, like even, for example, the prosecutor who prosecuted me in a completely fraudulent, completely trumped-up case, that was his last prosecution. He got made up to a judge straight after that case. So there's handshakes, conspiracies.
Oh, I know how it works, yeah.
I'm not either, but that's because I'm not a coward. But at the same time, I wonder how many times, like even, for example, the prosecutor who prosecuted me in a completely fraudulent, completely trumped-up case, that was his last prosecution. He got made up to a judge straight after that case. So there's handshakes, conspurities.
Oh, I know how it works, yeah.
I was approached when I was in prison. I was approached and asked when I got out of prison if I'd unite the right. So for them, for a secretive unit.
They wanted you to be an operative to go in and run the whole show.
To run the whole show. It's a secretive unit called Met Intelligence Bureau. And I said there's no way I'm doing it. When I get out of here, I told them my plans. I'm going back to work. They had my assets restrained for 4 years. I said I'm selling my properties and I'm going back to work. Now, when I got out of custody, I'd been out 6 weeks. I was driving and I got arrested. I got arrested by 3 cars, pulled in. I was held for 24 hours. And I was interviewed on a burglary. Yeah, a burglary. Now, when I got home, my wife said, Winchester Prison's been on the phone. That's the prison that I just come out of. She said that you've left some clothing there. So she gave me the number. It was an 0207 number. It was a London number. So it wasn't Winchester. I rang the number and it's Ollie. So I said, hi, it's Ollie from the MIB. We come and visited you in custody. I said, yeah. He said, we can help you out with the predicament you're in. I said, I'm not in a predicament. He said, yes, you are. He said, because if you get charged with this burglary, you'll do 8 months on licence recall. Not just will you do 8 months, but the whole country is going to be told you're a burglar. Yeah? If you agree to sit down and have a chat with us, we can make that go away. And I'm sitting there. I've just come out of custody. I've left the English Defence League, and I don't know where to turn. And then and because I told them my plans of selling my properties.
Yeah, you told them I'm out of this. You told them I'm done, and they're no, you're going to work for us now.
You're going to work for us. And then because I refused, they put the burglary charge. When that failed, and I still said, well, I'm going to have to do the 8 months. But facing 8 months, for me going in prison, I'm lucky I've made it out. That's the truth. I'm lucky to have made it out.
But you're not going to submit.
I'm not going to submit. And then what's happened is I've got a letter through the post saying that they're taking £315,000 off me, or I have to do 5 years in custody. Yeah? And again, I get contacted by Met Intelligence Bureau, who say, if you agree to work with us, you don't have to pay the £315,000. I refuse it again. I tell them there's no chance. I go to court to fight the £315,000. The judge actually ruled, and this is all, as I said, this is all laid out in my book. The judge actually ruled that I have to pay the police £125,000 with no justification.
Well, look, when all this gets defeated, you're going to be a hero, and it's just amazing.
I had to sell my family house. They took my family home.
Good God, I know you go on forever, the persecution. The good news is, as you said, you've been vindicated. The government covering up the rape of all these little girls has been covered up, the rape gangs. They are in deep trouble now. Paul Watson, I want to bring you in here with a few comments, and we got 5 more minutes, then you're going to be hosting the show. And I'd like you to invite this fellow to continue if you'd like. But Paul Watson, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all this just underscores the fact that this stealth jihad, whatever you want to call it, cannot happen without the help of the state. And I mean, Tommy explained why. They bring in this group of immigrants who are dependent on government. They're more likely to vote for big government parties. So that's the incentive for the state to bring them in the first place. And while they're going after people like Tommy, they're also going after, you know, for example, 2 years ago, there was a couple, I think it was a Polish couple, that had adopted a child, and they supported UKIP, which is now a mainstream British political party that is anti-mass immigration. They had that child, despite the fact they had an exemplary record, just taken from them by the state simply for supporting this anti-immigration political party.
But, you know, the Green Party heads in Germany saying, we want Germany to die. White people are bad. It's not, I'm not even racist. I'm not against other groups of people. I don't see other people acting like the leftist white people and then these weirdo radical Muslims. I mean, why do they want to destroy what's left of Europe? It's already collapsing. I mean, is it like a trophy they're going to mount on their wall that they destroyed what their ancestors built? Is it a mental illness? Who are these freaks?
They despise our history. They despise everything about us. White guilt is what Europe's suffering with, and it has been for a long time, especially Angela Merkel. And the German generation of today have nothing to feel guilty about. They should be proud of the country they live in. They should be proud of the economy, the culture they have. The changing moment, I think, will be the first time we see a political leader elected, whether it be Marie Le Pen, whether it be Geert Wilders, who will try to enforce law. Because when they try to enforce law, by God, the Muslims will not allow them to. And that will be the moment. As soon as they try to enforce any sort of laws. Because
you just said it. Every time they try to enforce even arresting somebody for rape, they burn down half of Paris. That's that. Maybe it's intimidations while they're letting them do it. Maybe it's gone from... Go ahead.
Yeah, they are... Now it's... they know what's going to happen. Like that, for example, this country, in Britain, if they try to ban the burqa, Muslims will riot. They will not be able to ban the burqa. And that's just a small thing. And that's with a population of only 3 to 4 million. Now, that population is growing and growing very fast. And with this recent refugee crisis, we've seen over 1 million enter Germany this year. Well, when they're allowed to bring their families in the next 12 months, that'll be 4 or 5 million. Europe's heading one way, and it's we're heading to conflict, unfortunately. But that conflict has to happen when we can still win and when we can still be triumphant and we still have freedom. And I think what will happen is they'll wake a sleeping giant, and our love for freedom will always outweigh their love for Sharia. And people will come out, and they will, as is growing now, what you're seeing now is just a start. It's just a start. And this refugee crisis, that's just a trickle. The whirlwind's coming.
Why?
Incompatible with Western democracy and freedom. Those views are not going to work. So they've come with those views. They're not just going to leave them at the door when they come into Britain. They're still going to hold those views. They're going to look upon our women as filthy. I just bumped into a Luton Town football player and his partner, his wife. And she told me the amount of times, just going to our football stadium, because our football stadium's in the Muslim community, the amount of times she's been had sexual remarks made her daily whenever she's there. And our women should just not have to put up with this. But it's the mindset and the culture that we're importing. And you're right in what you said, because my biggest fear is not groups like Anjem Chowdhury. I think they're the stupid ones that are telling us what they're going to do. The ones that are on the street corners telling us what they're going to do. I don't fear them. I fear the extremely clever ones who have infiltrated government, infiltrated political parties. We saw it with Afzal Amin. Afzal Amin was a conservative Muslim MP who actually was working, we found out was a radical for 10 years, a plant within the government. They're the ones I fear. And you're right. Forget terrorism. Even if you take terrorism out of the equation, the future's not right anyway. The more Islam, the more Muslims, when Islam becomes the dominant culture in your community, we have a problem. We have a big problem. And that's not fascist, extremist or racist in any way to say that. To say that we want to protect this country, we want to protect the Christian, Judeo-Christian culture that we've inherited from our grandparents, is not racist or bigot. But in this country, even just saying that is seen extreme. Combination of things. It's a combination of things. Look, after Charlie Hebdo massacre, 30,000 British Muslims marched through the city of Birmingham, which is where we're going to be holding up our silent walk on the 6th of February. They marched through the city of Birmingham demanding blasphemy laws in support, again, of Charlie Hebdo's killers. They didn't march against the killers. They didn't march against ISIS. As we've seen, they don't come out on the streets now. So it's a combination of things. It's a combination of things that I believe 30% of British Muslims felt they were justified, the killings. So that's 30% that are certainly not going to come out and protest. And that 30% are all probably related to the other ones that aren't going to come out and protest. So, and then there is a genuine fear in the community as well, which is justified, because when we're talking about apostates, we've seen recently the apostate in Bradford, who's been targeted for the last 10 years. There's no charities to help these people. There's no government schemes to help people leave Islam, which we should be doing. In a similar way, we have government schemes, especially in Scandinavia, to help gang members leave the gang because they'll be targeted by that gang. Now, in Islam, if you try and leave, you will be targeted. There should be charities, government support, all sorts of ways of helping these people leave that fascist ideology. We don't see it. Again, everything, as soon as every issue, you're on about feminism, animal rights, whenever it comes to Islam, everyone remains silent. And that simply, I think, is fear is paralysing and people are scared. And to be fair, they've got a reason to be scared. Because the minute you do speak out, if you're in a job or career, you're probably going to lose it. I'm sitting in the situation now, 6 years on, where they can't take anything more from me other than my life. So I'm in the situation where I'll say it. And you'll say, there's not many people out there. And I don't blame them, because they've watched what happens to people who do exercise their freedom of speech, who do decide to criticise Islam. They've seen the backlash. It's like, for example, when I walk through my hometown and I get punched on the nose regularly, or I get violently attacked, I quite understand that the local politician probably doesn't want to get punched on the nose or attacked every time he walks through the town. So he chooses to remain silent. So it's a combination of things. It's a difficult situation. What you actually see now in Europe is the countries that are coming out freely and talking about these issues: Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Poland. They're the countries that have not been infiltrated and infected with Islamic immigration and the influence Islam has. In our countries, when we look at previous world leaders, if we want to look at Sir William Gladstone, for example, who there's statues of across our capital city, he held the Quran above his head in the Houses of Parliament, and he said, there will never be peace on this earth so long as we have this book. It's a violent and accursed book. Winston Churchill said Islam in a man is similar to rabies in a dog. He said individual Muslims, which they do, will show great individual. There's great individual things about them, but the power of Islam has the power to bring Europe back into the Dark Ages. These were world leaders. Now, if there were no Muslims in Britain and we didn't have the influence of Saudi, whoever was leading our country would be saying something similar right now. They'd be coming out saying what Donald Trump said. They'd be coming out saying what the Czech president said. They'd be coming out saying what the Hungarian leaders are saying. They wouldn't be accepting the refugee quotas. But because we have Islam everywhere in this country, in every political party, in every government position, in every government job, and that's only at 4%. So we really need to wake up to where this country's heading.
And again, completely debunking this religion of peace tag. If it's a religion of peace, why do its most prominent critics, like yourself, have panic buttons? Why are they attacked on the street? Why are they oppressed by the government when they speak out against this?
If you're in America, it's available on Kindle. So just go on Kindle and search Tommy Robinson. If you want a paperback or the actual book, then you can just go on my website, tommyrobinson.co.uk, or the British Amazon, and you can order the book to be within an international postage to be sent to you. I think Americans, when they read it, are going to be gobsmacked. I say in the book, if there's any politician with an ounce of integrity, there should be a public inquiry into what's gone on with the police, with all these government agencies, with the state-sponsored persecution, in order to silence me and prevent me from having freedom of speech, in order to have in a free society to criticise a fascist and backward ideology. And with regards to the 6th of February, on the 6th of February, we're changing very much from how the English Defence League went about our demonstrations. What happened with the English Defence League, I'm not going to apologise for it, because there was a hell of a lot of anger and frustration that had built up with years of resentment of being treated like second-class citizens, having our daughters or our sisters raped, terrorism, Islamic gangs out of control in the country. So that aggression and that frustration spilled over. 6 years on, we've matured, we've grown up. We see that we want to be part of a European-wide movement that is completely peaceful. So on the 6th of February, we'll be holding a silent walk in England's second city, which is Birmingham. And I appeal to everyone to come along, because you can't sit at home any longer. You can't talk about these issues. You can't moan about them in the pub. It's time to do something. And there's many people that are willing to put their life on the line. And we're not asking people to come out and get prison sentences or riot or anything like that. We're just saying come and peacefully walk with us. Show us solidarity with us. Prison sentences or riot or anything like that. We're just saying come and peacefully walk with us. Show us solidarity with us. This is so important. What's happening right now is so important in not just England's, not just Britain's, Europe's future, our cultural identity. Your children's future is at stake. And all we're asking is you come and walk with us for one day. And I appeal to everyone to come along, because you can't sit at home any longer. You can't talk about these issues. You can't moan about them in the pub. It's time to do something. Sit at home any longer. You can't talk about these issues. You can't moan about them in the pub. It's time to do something.
Apparently it's really something to write home about. Each year, hundreds of thousands of locals and visitors from all across the planet enjoy the midnight fireworks against the magical backdrop of Cologne's cityscape. So you can imagine the surprise of people who were at the New Year's Eve 2015 celebrations that the media didn't seem to want to cover the events that happened there. The initial reports I saw were from the BBC, and frankly, they have actually been the best ones regarding this. Between 80 and 100 women reported being sexually assaulted, with one reported being raped on New Year's Eve. These attacks were carried out by approximately 1,000 drunk and aggressive young men of North African and Middle Eastern descent. According to the first article that I read, what's particularly disturbing is that the attacks appear to have been organised. Around 1,000 young men arrived in large groups, seemingly with the specific intention of carrying out attacks on women. These young men would let off fireworks at ground level to cause confusion, and then roving gangs of them would surround and molest women. As you can see from this footage, this was right outside the cathedral, and in spite of a significant police presence. Needless to say, there's loads of footage of these events, and there is even eyewitness testimony from a chap who was a bouncer on the night, who I think is also some sort of famous international karate or kickboxing champion.
Ich habe da jetzt wohl richtig ein Fass aufgemacht mit den Vorgängern Silvester hier in Köln. Am 31.12.2015 habe ich gearbeitet in einem 5-Sterne-Hotel genau gegenüber vom Dom. Als ich da angefangen habe zu arbeiten, habe ich gedacht, ja, ich hatte einen entspannten Abend mit sehr gut situierten Menschen. Die Karten haben so ab 300 € aufwärts gekostet. Es waren alles Gäste so ab 40 Jahre drin. Plötzlich gegen 21, 22 Uhr ging es los, dass schon auf dem Gelände außen, das mit dem Hotel nichts zu tun hatte, eine Messerstecherei war, wurde einer schwer verletzt, Krankenwagen war da, Polizei. Und dann eskalierte das Ganze. Die Menschen, die wir vor 3 Monaten noch mit Teddybären und Wasserflaschen in München am Hauptbahnhof empfangen haben, haben angefangen auf den Dom zu schießen, angefangen auf die Bereitschaftspolizisten zu schießen, die dann mit Helmen auf die Domplatte mussten, um diesem ganzen Gewaltpotenzial Einhalt zu gewähren. Gestandene Polizisten haben zu mir gesagt, die haben das noch nie erlebt. Das waren bürgerkriegsähnliche Zustände. Keiner hat darüber berichtet. Im Laufe des Abends kamen immer wieder Frauen zu mir, die gefragt haben, ob sie bei mir stehen bleiben können, damit ich auf sie aufpasse. Ich wusste gar nicht, was es geht. Ja, sie werden verfolgt von den und den Personen. Die wollten dann auf mich los. Habe ich sie weggeklatscht, muss ich euch ganz ehrlich sagen, weil ich habe das noch nie erlebt. Ich habe mir gedacht, das wäre so eine rechte Propaganda. Aber das war alles echt. Später am Abend kam es dann zu weiteren Ausschreitungen. Da haben sie Typen auf dem Boden den Kopf eingeschlagen, der lag drauf, mit dem Fuß drauf. Bereitschaftspolizisten kamen, wir sind eingeschritten und die waren dann circa 1,5 Stunden gefesselt Es kam aber kein Gefangenentransport, weil erstens waren keine da zur Verfügung, weil alle belegt waren und die Zellen in den umliegenden Aufnahmestellen vom Gewahrsam der Polizei waren total überfüllt. Dann mussten die Polizisten die Straftäter gehen lassen, die sich dann vor das Auto gestellt haben, Fuck the Police geschrien haben und auf die Windschutzscheibe des Polizeiwagens gespuckt haben. Die Polizisten hatten keine Handhabe, irgendetwas zu tun. Ich kann euch nur eins sagen, ich habe sowas noch nie erlebt und es wird eskalieren. Spätestens an Karneval in Köln wird es hier richtig explodieren. Und ich hoffe, ihr wisst, ich bin kein Rechter oder sonst irgendwas. Ich habe mich immer da rausgehalten. Ich habe immer gedacht, diese ganzen Videos etc., das sind alles so rechte Publikationen von Pegida-Gruppen, bla bla bla. Nein, Leute, das war wirklich echt. Mädchen standen zitternd vor mir, bitte, bitte können wir bei dir stehen bleiben. Die haben Angst vor denen, die verfolgen uns die ganze Zeit. Die haben Gäste angepöbelt, angespuckt, die haben die Polizisten angespuckt, die haben Leute auf dem Boden liegend mit dem Fuß auf den Kopf getreten. Die Polizei konnte nichts machen, die waren 1,5 Stunden, haben sie auf Gefangenentransporte gewartet, da waren keine da. Auf anderen Stellen hat es richtig gebrannt, da mussten die hinrennen, konnten aber nicht hin, weil sie die bewachen mussten und auf den Gefangenentransport warten. Also ich kann euch nur sagen, ich wünsche für 2016 wirklich Frieden auf der Welt und vor allem auch in Deutschland. Euer Ivan. Jetzt wieder drauf.